Introducing Instagram Teen Accounts, a new way to keep your teen safer as they grow, like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, buckle up. Good job.
New Instagram Teen Accounts, automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome to News from the Crabby Coffee Shop with your host, Dawn McClain, from the adventures of Bradley and Dawn on My Talk 1071, Garage Logic's newsman, Mr. FYI, John Haidt, and the crabbiest guy in the coffee shop, Kenny Olson.
Well, I am not Kenny Olson. I am Ross. When the cat's away, the producer will play. It's another edition of News from the Crabby Coffee Shop, and you're getting the very best of. Did you know Kenny has been begrudgingly doing this podcast for almost 2 years? I guess you can lump the rest of us into that, but I don't know how begrudging it is for most of us. This upcoming state fair will put the pod into toddlerhood. We'll be 2 years old. Pretty cool stuff right there. For today's edition, I have went into the Wayback Machine, and I've chosen a few selections that I know you will enjoy because they're some of your favorites. How do I know that? Well, some of you have wrote reviews on Apple, emailed the show, or found us on social media to let us know. Some of them I have heard a few times, and I giggle every time. And yes, I did just use the word giggle as a man approaching, I guess, the back half of my 30s. Here's what you are going to get today. We go back to late May of 2002. We discuss the patron saint of news from the Crabby Coffee Shop. This made Kenny very happy. Plus, we discuss listener hate mail we sometimes get. I've given you this before, but you're getting the full edition today. We'll start there, and then we'll hear from Nick. You may remember that Nick claims to have been abducted by aliens, and they did some weird things to his body. But let's start with that patron saint. Here we go, Kenny. Tell us all about the patron saint of news from the Crabby Coffee Shop.
I've been reading an email exchange between you and John, and it reminds me, the Crabby Coffee Shop has its own patron saint. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, good. I was hoping you would say no, because I want to bring her up. She has since passed away, but from a story from the Sun in 2018, headline, World's Oldest Human Says She's Never Felt Happy.
The world's oldest human?
Has never felt happy.
Oh.
And this is from 2018. The Russian government claims to have found the oldest woman in the world, 128 years old, who says she hasn't lived a single happy day in her life. If true, the claims would mean Koku Istanbulova was already 27 when the Tsar Nicholas II abdicated. She would have been 55 when World War II ended and 102 when the Soviet Union collapsed a generation ago. But the claims are dubious, as she would have also smashed the global record for the oldest person who ever lived by some 6 years. The claim was made by the pension fund of the Russian Federation. It's based on her internal passport, which shows a birthday of June 1st, 1889. This lady, and she looks like, picture a really, really old Russian. That's exactly what she looks like, a caricature of a really, really, she looks like a wrinkled potato.
Yeah, like an old apple.
Yeah.
Like the art that they do to make apple heads.
Yeah, she's really tough on the eyes. Asked how she lived so long, she said it was God's will. I did nothing to make it. By the way, she was a Muslim, so I don't know why they changed it to God, because in other stories she was saying it was Allah's will. I did nothing to make it happen. I see people going in for sports, eating something special, keeping themselves fit, but I have no idea how I lived until now. And I have not had a single happy day in my life. I have always worked hard digging in the garden. I am tired. Long life is not at all God's gift for me, but a punishment. And thankfully, she died about a year later. She was thankful. She was eating. She didn't feel good. She laid down and started saying some prayers, and she passed away. But when we heard this story in the early days of this concept called the Crabby Coffee Shop that Royce and I invented, we decided to make her our patron saint because she was, 128 years old and never lived a happy day in her life. Now, that is something I can relate to.
I so totally agree. You try to make yourself, you're like, let me look on the bright side. Okay, well, what am I thankful for? And then some days you're like, I don't give an S about anything. I'm so tired of these people. I scared my boyfriend yesterday because I started to bitch about things that happen.
Yeah.
Not with any of my coworkers. It's from emails that I receive.
Right.
And I was like a dragon. I had my hands out on the table like this, and I was like, I hate these people. They're this and this and this. Oh, my God, I can't do it. I want to go into their cube at work and say, what's that pen you're holding? You shouldn't be writing with that pen, and just analyze everything they do at their job and see how they feel.
I used to work with a guy named Bob, and we had a morning show and an afternoon show and this, that, and the other. And part of our deal was we didn't take phone calls, even though it was talk radio and we were supposed to take phone calls. And we didn't take phone calls to, quote, Bob, I don't call you and bother you at work. Why do you have to bother me?
Yes, I know this Bob you're talking about.
Yes,
this is
funniest
awesome.
lines I ever heard on the radio. I'm driving down the highway and I hear him say that and just, darn near peed my pants. I was laughing so hard.
So you two going back and forth last night, I read it when I got up this morning, reminded me I have saved two of my most cherished possessions. They're right here.
Yeah?
It's hate mail that has been sent to me. I get a lot of hate mail, but all the other efforts are just amateur in nature compared to these two. I want to start with this old one. I got this when I was on 1500, and of course it wasn't signed. And it was sent to management, and management was so impressed by this letter that they printed it out and gave it to me. Can you please fire the most useless on-air personality you've ever had, Kenny Olson? Some of us who have accomplished things in our lives wish to get a little break in our days listening to your shows. Then this washed-up, useless, bitter, nobody of an ass clown ruins each and every show when he opens his annoying, pathetic mouth. And they mock Joe's laugh? This douche canoe sounds like a Muppet being raped when he tries to laugh.
Yeah.
Please, please, please do us all a favor and fire him immediately. Now, that is a hell of a piece of writing.
It really is.
And it really filled my heart with joy and pride. The second one, and that came many years ago, the second one just came at the end of April. And it's from a guy calling himself John Smith, but his email address is a lady's name, and I'm not going to give it out because,
we're not about that.
I got to protect the angry. The subject is Nazi, and it's
question mark.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change some of the wording due to the times we live in.
Yeah,
you sound like a mentally handicapped Jew.
Okay, I see what you're changing there, yes.
Every time you compare something in politics you don't like to Nazis. Do a little research on National Socialism and the reason why Hitler came to power in Germany in 1933. You mentally handicapped boomer gay person.
Oh, my God. That's, wow.
So is that guy, he's a Nazi, right?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me when you first sent it. Yeah, Kenny sent that to all of the GL people with just this message. I won! Exclamation point.
Yeah. Sometimes they're so absurd that they're funny.
Yeah.
I think that I'm being pecked to death by little
ones.
sparrows.
Yeah, it's you called it in the email the mansplain.
Mansplaining.
Yeah, mansplaining. Yeah.
There's a condescending tone.
Yeah.
It's rude.
Yeah.
It's arrogant.
Yeah.
It's like, let me tell you something. Like, they will write out things to me that are so passive aggressive, or I can't figure out what this type of communication is, but it's aggressive.
Right.
And then they pretend to not be aggressive when you reply.
Right.
I just, most of them, if they make me mad, I just delete them now. I just delete them. The one that made me so mad yesterday that set me off was a person who said, "That's not the way it is, Jason." Jason was on vacation. I was the one talking about it. Are you mistaking my voice with Jason's? That's the first problem here.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
Why are you addressing Jason? He was on vacation. I'm the one that was talking about it.
Yeah.
I was referring to this and that.
Yeah.
It had to do with the Sistine Chapel. Jason Momoa recently took pictures in there
Okay.
and got in trouble.
I had my headphones on. That was on Monday, and I heard your story.
Since we didn't know, the pictures I saw, the doors are open to broad daylight.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The sun is shining through.
Yeah.
I assumed he wasn't using a flash.
Right.
And for God's sake, I read 50 million stories a day.
Right.
I
right.
am not going to do a deep dive research into all of them. I
Right.
read a couple of articles to make sure it's not completely bogus.
Yeah.
I talk about it, and then they want to act like it's the only thing I'm talking about all day and that I should have researched it.
Right,
Then they
right.
try to mansplain. The deal with art is that if you use a flash, it deteriorates the blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't freaking know that. I have my master's degree. I'm like, I know. And it's not like I'm like, think I'm right all the time. It's not that. It's the way it's presented and so condescending.
Yeah.
And all I said on the air was, I'm wondering, since I'm Catholic, I feel like I can speak on this. Did they not want him to have these pictures out of reverence for the church?
Right.
Because there are certain parts of Catholic Mass that you cannot record.
Right.
The consecration being one
Right.
of them.
Sure.
When you're having a wedding, they have to turn off the cameras. You can't film it. So if it was something like that, I want to know. And if it is, I'm like, come on. It's a public tourist attraction, right?
Right. You know what?
I don't really agree with it, is what I'm saying, and I feel like I can say that.
When you did that story, what I couldn't help but think was, if I had traveled all the way to Rome and I was in the Sistine Chapel and I've watched documentaries and drama movies about it, I need to take a picture. I've got to take a picture, and the fact that I can't really bugged me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about flash photography, because I know in the Louvre and other things like the Deep Sea Scrolls or the Dead Sea Scrolls, you can't take pictures of them. They're in a dark room, which
Sure.
she also brought up to me in her tales of travel, because I've never been out of the United States. Please. I'm just like, lady. And then
I got
there were
one.
a few others, and I'm like, I was like so mad. I was screaming and looking at my boyfriend like he was the lady.
Yeah.
And he just was like, oh, I get that way. I have to let it out.
Yeah.
Because I get miserable, honestly.
So one time, the roommate and my son and I were clearing a deadfall that was covering a road in the woods, right? Mm-hmm. And Ben or her, one of them, took a video of me cutting a limb. So I'm cutting a limb off, and somehow this ended up on Twitter. I don't know why, what the caption was, but I immediately received criticism from somebody saying that they don't look like firebox-sized logs. You're not going to burn those, are you? And just this big long, and my God, all I was chunking up a limb to get it out of the way.
So
and
you could drive the car.
And sometimes when they're really fat, you cut them a little small so they can be handled by the roommate, right? Let's not make this a lot of work. We just want to cut it up, get it out of the way, continue on our way. And what it's really done is made me very apprehensive about posting anything from my personal life.
That's right.
On social.
Right.
And I did over the weekend. I was pulling a tree through a field. And I posted that, but with no caption, and then I don't even look at the comments nor respond to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just.
Yeah. Sorry, that's infuriating.
Right. Yeah, I don't get a lot. I get the occasional. I get a lot of nice stuff too. So it's about a 50-50 deal. But we have started on Garage Logic. I think all of us do this now. We just answer politely with noted. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
That's all we do. Yeah,
because if you answer any other way, you're going to end up arguing with that.
It's
Reavers still cannot control himself, and he'll engage and get in big arguments with him. But me, I either don't say anything, or if they're a pretty good mean one, I'll say noted, and that's it.
My favorite is I'll get the occasional note. Or on social media, people will say, when your news starts on Garage Logic, I fast forward.
Right.
And I'm going, it's a podcast, folks. As long as you clicked on it once, we don't care what you do with my news. You can fast forward through it all you like.
Do they think they're going to influence that you won't do the news anymore? Is that their goal? What's the goal?
Yesterday I got one, and the subject matter just said, please leave the show. So I think they think, they will follow through with whatever they'd like us to do. So
I just, and through my email yesterday, I'm like, remember when we used to be broadcasters and we could just do what we were hired to do, which is I've been in this business since I was 19, and I don't think I know everything, but our job was to have strong opinions and do broadcasts. Before, people were keyboard warriors, and everything you said they analyzed, and they want to tell you what they know. People don't want to have fun anymore. They don't want to be entertained or enjoy anything. That's what I came to the conclusion of yesterday.
How did we get to this point where, despite all the really, really important things going on in the world, this is the concern for the country? We're obsessed with celebrities. Will Smith goes on stage, slaps Chris. That's a huge story for 2 weeks. And Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, again, war in Ukraine, but this is what we care about. Somebody didn't use the proper pronouns, so we're going to cancel that person. Somebody said a bad word back in 1972, so their career is over. How did can we blame like Yelp reviews or Google reviews?
Social media is the darkness of all of it. Don't you think so, Ross?
Oh, yeah, 100%. We also get enjoyment out of cutting people down. It makes us feel better about
you're
ourselves.
Including yourself in these
monsters. 100%. But I think there's a certain sport in this for people. And I always say this, if you approach me, Kenny, I think you said the person used a fake name. If you put your real name to it, I might actually take some credibility to it. When you get hate tweets from somebody who has one follower, or it's the egg that they got 4 years ago when they joined, I don't take any seriousness to that. It's like, you're just solely out to troll.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna troll, at least kind of be like me. Put your name to it and admit that you're trolling.
And Dawn made the point yesterday in the emails we traded. People would never do this in real life. They wouldn't walk up to you and say what they just sent you.
And they wouldn't even say it to their best friend.
Exactly.
It's so mean. And plus, they get irritated when I answer because it goes to Jason and Alexis. The email does, okay?
Yeah.
Part of my job is to reply to those, and there are a lot of them, okay?
Right.
And they are too busy to answer them.
Yes.
So it's part of my job.
Right.
So they are mad that they're not speaking directly to Jason. Well, good luck. Because he doesn't want to talk to you, so I have to.
But
you know what I mean?
In the case of podcasts, Dawn, it's destination listening. You didn't get here by accident.
Right.
You weren't going through the dial. You didn't just stumble upon something. You made the choice to come to this podcast. And I'm bringing this up because evidently, according to the roommate, and John might know this, there's one guy in particular that rips us a new one on Facebook every single day. And I don't have Facebook, so I don't know this.
Yeah, I don't either.
But why would you? What is wrong with you if you're going to a podcast on purpose and then logging onto Facebook and hammering on us, and according to the roommate, this guy gets beat up on. The GLers come back and pound on him. But every day he's back for more. What is that psychosis? What is that?
I think they hate themselves.
Yeah.
And they want everyone to hate them, and so they say hateful things, and it's a vicious cycle of hate.
And in the instance of Garage Logic, in that case, we're 4 to 5 people, depending on who's on the show, with varying opinions and backgrounds and points of view. And if we all agreed with Joe, how boring would that be?
Exactly. You
My
cannot
God.
be in this business and not have a strong opinion.
Yeah.
I punch up my thoughts and feelings to make it memorable.
Right.
I don't just do what I would do with my friends. I am strong about my opinion so that people remember me. And my mom has always said, at least they know your name.
Yeah.
You know, that's not just that girl on the radio, you know.
Better to be infamous than not famous at all.
That's right. Here's another thing I want to make a point of is that if I do, read something wrong or I don't have all the facts, I don't have a problem with someone telling me that in a nice way.
Yeah.
If they send me an email and say, actually, I think he was using a flash in there and that's not allowed. Love the show. You don't even have to say that. That's fine. It's the condescending, like, let me tell you something that you're wrong about, Jason.
Right.
I'm not Jason.
No, Dawn, you are not Jason, and that is just fine. We love you just the way you are on News from the Crabby Coffee Shop. From this world to potentially another, here's our chat with Nick from Ottertail County.
That brings us to today. And I didn't tell either one of you two about this guest that I booked because I didn't know that we were going to be able to get a hold of him because the process of getting this guest was a little different than usual. It was a local here, a gal named Bonnie Roos who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Oh, great.
And the guy she knows doesn't have a phone and didn't know if the guy that and the guy she knows is Gigi, and he's a different sort of character. He'll ride into town 2-3 times a year on an old Yamaha motorcycle from the 70s.
Oh, cool.
And he pulls a homemade trailer that looks like a horse chariot, and he loads it up with supplies and goes back up to the hills. But he knows a guy named Nick. And I know that Nick lives in Ottertail or Grant County. So Bonnie said she was going to try to get a hold of Nick. And it looks like, were you just on the phone, Ross?
We do have Nick.
So Nick is on the phone. Good morning, Nick.
Yes, good morning.
And I can barely hear you, Nick. Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes, good morning.
Nick, now, from what I hear through Gigi and Bonnie, you've been abducted a few times, maybe more than once?
That is correct. I'm in Ottertail, by the way.
Ottertail County, okay.
Yes. I've been abducted several times. And
really?
It's quite an experience. I don't know when, I don't know why, or how come they have chosen me. But would you like? Would you like to talk about the experience? I'm not
yes.
sure
When was the first time it happened?
Probably a dozen years ago.
Wow.
And it was harvest time.
Fall.
I was in the field, dusk.
Okay.
I saw a shiny light, and as the light came closer to me, I was paralyzed. I couldn't move my limbs, couldn't move anything. It was mystifying. And as the light came by, there was a large ship that approached me.
Ship?
And a door opened in a belt, like a belt that you would see a conveyor belt, extended, and I began walking. Not because I wanted to, because it was as if some sort of force was pulling me in.
Oh, drawn in like a magnet.
Yes, I was not harmed. I did not feel any pain. It was very bright as I went into the spaceship, which promptly closed, and we had taken flight.
How old were you?
17.
Okay.
Wow.
I was almost a month away was going to be my birthday at 18, a full adult.
Okay.
And as I sat in the spaceship, I didn't feel alone. There were beings there morphing around, not human-like, but just beings. I can't describe what their physical appearance. It was very odd, very odd.
But they actually had a physical form. It wasn't like, say, a gaseous, a gassy form, or a fog, or anything like that. No,
they. It's as if they didn't have a soft bone structure, but not. They were not gaseous.
Okay.
They were fluid-like, but they were not as if you would see an amoeba. They were.
Oh.
They said that there was some bone structure inside that kept them upright. So I don't know what bone structure was, but there was something solid keeping them. But they moved as if they were underwater. They had their movements were.
What do you think the purpose was of them taking you? Did they experiment on you? Did you said you weren't harmed, but did they communicate with you?
Well, I said I wasn't. I didn't feel pain going to the conveyor belt or gaining access to the ship. I did not feel pain at that point. They did indeed have a purpose. I'm not sure. It's not graphic or anything like this, but it was physical. I suppose I'm here to tell my tale, so
yeah. Go ahead.
They had one specific action in mind, and that was, much to my surprise, they were very enthralled with the front of my chest, my nipples.
Your nipples?
They collected my nipples.
What do you mean they collected? Wait.
Well, they
what?
With an anesthesia. Yeah,
they cut them off? Are
yes,
you nippleless?
They collected them.
Okay.
Well, that's where the story takes a odd turn. They have. I
just
tell
her. Yeah. Wait, what? Okay, go on. I'm sorry. This is shocking to me, Nick.
As if that weren't enough. They have containers of different nipples that they've collected. It's clinical. It's not like they were put in a Rubbermaid tub. But so my guess is they were studying these nipples of others. There were many before me, and the really intriguing thing is their study allowed. They're very advanced. What they planted in place of my nipples was a seed of some sort, so my nipples could grow back.
Oh, wow!
What?
So, and as you, I know it sounds very unconventional, but they have made many advances on nipples. Smaller ones, big ones, blue ones, reverse, the whole thing. A reverse nipple is very. Your eyes are drawn to a reverse nipple. How does it do that?
What? I'm sorry. This is very shocking to me, Nick, and I don't mean to laugh. I have never heard anything like this my entire life. A reverse?
Shocking. Very shocking.
Yeah.
It is very shocking for people, but I will let you know that this is indeed why I was abducted many times. Now, again,
Many times.
I was treated well. The recovery process is fantastic. They have a great lounge to wake up in and find food, very
Really?
good drinks.
Really?
It is you're treated well. It was for me. I welcomed the return trips.
Nick, I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you've been back many times, do you have any idea what they do with these pickled nipples that they have? Well, I mean, do they just
don't make fun
just
of
hang on to them, or what do they do with them?
I'm not sure they pickled them and made chips out of them. I don't think they were consumed, but I know that their admiration of the not the whole breast, but just specifically the nipples.
Sure.
They were very intrigued, and of course, being an unwilling and then willing partner, I'm not sure what their end result is, but I know that there were buckets and buckets of nipples on board the ship.
Oh my God!
Nick, do you consider yourself part alien now that you have alien nipples?
I would consider myself with the in crowd, yes, for as not full alien, but a quorum of alien in me, yes.
So, do you suppose they're tracking you with your new nipples?
I'm not quite sure that has not been addressed yet, but you're not allowed to inquire much. You're almost mute as the process happens. It is painful.
Oh, it is.
But it's quick.
Oh.
But it's quick. I will say that coming back to Earth and watching your nipple grow is rather enticing. I've become consumed with looking at my nipples in the mirror every day to see what changes. It's kind of like the chef's surprise as to what they've implanted. So you're eager to see what the result is. It becomes quite addicting. Watching. It's like Christmas morning every 3 months, 6 months. You want to see what you are given. Are you purple? Are they crusty? Smooth? The balance of potential nipples that are out there, they have gained great headway, shall we say, into.
I am shocked.
The most disturbing thing is the most disturbing thing that I've seen on the ship is the rejected nipple pile. The nipple piles that are rejected are just disregarded, as if thrown into a spittoon and just sit there unattended. That's disturbing. That's disturbing to me.
So I don't mean to disrespect you in any way, but aside from the nipples, was there anything else that was done to you? The whole purpose was to collect your nipples?
Yes, and at that point, I was very scared and nervous, and I had heard stories of other abduction things that had happened, and for a split second, I was quite excited about that potential, but it never presented itself.
And those things would be an extraction of fluids?
Possibly. Maybe some light prodding. Is there light prodding? I'm not sure.
I mean,
prodding is prodding. I don't know.
I've come to learn. I've come to learn. Yes.
I don't know.
Correct. I wouldn't. Light prodding is probably not the right. Prodding is prodding. I have not been prodded by aliens yet.
Nick.
But I am at this point. I'm willing to learn.
I've got so many questions. So, the many abductions, do they come at night, during the day? You know, there's always been this joke. How come the these abductions happen out in the middle of nowhere, and both you and I live out in the middle of nowhere, and why are they always at night? Why not during the day? And then my second question, if you get to it, have you been to a doctor? What do they say about your nips?
First of all, why Ottertail? I don't know why Ottertail County. I'm not sure, but I can tell you at night, always at night, and it is usually away from the city lights and the city business. People tend to mind their business where we live.
That's true.
And,
That's true.
You might see a bright light. You might just think it is children playing with flames or flares, what have you.
Right, spotlights, spotting deer, shining.
Correct. Most keep to themselves, and there's not many questions raised. I have learned that from the...
Right. Gunshots in the middle of the night. Yeah. Oh, what?
Yes, the alien people, so that's...
So whenever the nipple collection is done, what happens? You're just... You lose a sense of time? Are there moments where you don't remember part of it? You're dropped off and then it flies away? Do you wake up in your bed or what?
It is, I liken it to a small, quick procedure.
Okay.
But the downtime after, there is some pain, and you're put in the something similar to a lazy boy, and you recline, and you are brought... you're attended to with food.
Boy, they sure are attentive.
It sounds like my post-colonoscopy exams, where you just kind of brought back into reality, and everybody's nice and gentle and loving. Yeah,
I have not had that that prodding procedure, so I can't relate to you.
Brings up another question. My question was, doctors.
So, in other words, you're telling me you have been prodded.
I have.
So
I've paid for
the wheels are turning on this interview, I think.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it. Tell me more about it.
Well, it wasn't light, and it certainly wasn't just the tip. But no, I want to stay focused on this, Nick.
Excuse me.
Have you been examined by a doctor, and do you find both before the abductions began and after, do you get sick a lot, or are you basically a healthy person? That's, I guess, my question.
I'm fairly healthy. I have not seen a doctor since the nippelectomy. Nippelectomy, we call it.
Since you were 17, you haven't seen a doctor?
This is correct.
You're afraid of doctors, or what's the deal?
I've been instructed not to.
Okay.
Their chief medical person, alien. I'm not sure what to call this person. Obviously, they have a
Master Chief.
Maybe this is it. Yeah, I've not heard that term, but I will call him the Master Chief.
It's from a game, Halo.
Okay.
Oh.
This is what I'll use then.
Master Chief. It's great.
It gives me a full examination and has assured me that there's no chemical or anything in my body that would allow me to not disintegrate, but wear out. Everything is in my body is okay.
It's like a fountain of youth thing.
I have not been told that I will live forever, but I'm told that I'm in excellent shape as long as we continue to provide new hard nipples.
If a doctor were to examine you, and you say you spend a lot of time looking at the mirror at your new nips, would a doctor recognize that these nipples don't fit in with the rest of your body? Or do they match pretty well? Like, you don't get dark ones, or like ones with really like pancake areolas, or nips that stick way out. Like light
or like
switches.
A personal pan pizza.
Yes, in fact, I will say that my favorite are the pancake.
So you do. You get different ones each time.
Oh,
this is why this is the reason for the infatuation of to see what occasionally, as the nipple grows, it may be. How do I?
Well, you don't know what you're going to
Do you
get.
remember the show? Game of Thrones. Do you recall this? The opening.
Oh,
Game of
right.
Thrones,
Yeah, right.
where things like pop out. You like not like a city, but raised. Sometimes
Sure.
small branches.
Sure, like a little midget dill or something that sticks out.
Something. Yes, they protrude would be a better word.
Right.
That can be problematic because I need to wear shirts.
Have you ever been tempted to pierce your new nipples to see what the...
I have been instructed by the Master Chief that I can play with them, but do not pierce them.
Okay.
And
You have an interesting accent.
Happy to abide by that.
Is this like what this accent? I don't mean to, pry into your life, but what's your ancestry?
Bohemian.
Bohemian.
Yes.
Okay.
Full-blooded.
Full-blooded Bohemian.
Yes, with relatives that stopped in Otter County many years ago.
Okay.
Sure, the old ox cart trail.
I'm not familiar with that county. I'm originally from a different state.
It's very close to me, Dawn.
Is it?
Yeah, very close to Douglas.
I used to visit there every year when I'd go to Dead Lake, actually, Otter Tail County.
Oh, Dead Lake, yes. Very familiar. Beautiful lake. My voice has never been the same.
It changed.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I mean, you were in puberty, or you were post-puberty. That's the
my
time.
voice was, yes, very a little high-pitched at that time, and my voice changes nonstop as I each individual visit changes my voice, and it can turn on a dime.
Wow.
Well, this has got to be the most fascinating interview I've ever been a part of in all of my years, and I'm frankly at a loss to say anything else.
Interviews, but I know there's a chain of friendships that have been made, and I was asked to do this specifically, which is why I will not reveal my Otter Tail location.
Right.
I probably shouldn't even reveal Otter Tail County. But
well, that's all right. A friend of mine, Bonnie, knows a guy named Goober Gump Lilly, Gigi, and Gigi's a buddy of yours, and that's how the connection was made.
Gigi is a little. I would say Gigi is a little off center.
Oh,
yeah,
he's the guy that has the chariot that he
pulls.
trailer.
Yeah.
And I actually met Gigi for the first time at a threshing meet in Dalton. I'm sure you know where Dalton is.
Yes, but again, anonymity.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Anonymity.
Well,
You probably giving up too much information.
Dawn, I'm.
Well, it's very brave of you to come on our show, and thank you for your time.
If there would be any interest in any of you volunteering, if you're possibly bored with your own nipples, arrangements can be made for a trial abduction, maybe a visit.
You know what? Life is short. I'll go ahead and
You're
get
happy
in touch with you.
You're happy with your nips?
No,
or you want...
I want to change them.
Oh, you want to swap them out?
Yeah.
Huh.
So we'll get
arrangements can be made.
Sure,
but not on the air. Not on the air.
Of course not. Yeah. No. But yeah, that sounds interesting. And like I said, life is short, so let's have new experiences.
Happy nipples, everybody.
Happy nipples to you too, Nick. Thank you.
Well, where do we even go from there? I guess we really don't go anywhere. Probably a good time to wrap up this edition of News from the Crabby Coffee Shop. If you want to hear that entire podcast in which we set up the interview with Nick and even reviewed that interview with Nick after Nick hung up the phone, just go back to the feed to March 22nd of 2022, about 10 months ago. Really a very interesting podcast and a very interesting time for the podcast. We also talked I think the week prior with Dr. Avi Loeb from Harvard about some of the weird stuff happening in the sky. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of News from the Crabby Coffee Shop. I hope you have enjoyed this trip down memory lane and wish you nothing but relaxation and a restful Memorial Day weekend. Please be safe out there. And finally, if you are so inclined in listening to News from the Crabby Coffee Shop on Apple, I encourage you to please leave us a 5-star rating, review as well. Give us a good review, and I'll make Kenny really uncomfortable by reading it during this podcast. Thanks again for listening. The entire crew is back next week.
Thanks for listening to News from the Crabby Coffee Shop. New episodes drop every week wherever you get your podcasts.